Hello and welcome to the CUFI Weekly. I'm your host, Kasim Hafiz. Hello and welcome to another episode of the CUFI Weekly. We are in Jaffa, port city on the Mediterranean here in Israel. Jaffa is hugely significant, going back to the Old Testament, New Testament, and the modern state of Israel. So tell us where we are right now.
So actually, we're in the highest point in Tel Aviv. We're on the Mound of Jaffa. Jaffa is basically one of the oldest port cities in the world. It's mentioned both as the place where King David brings the gates to the temple that Solomon will build after. It's also mentioned as the place where Jonah embarks on his journey from. And when we're talking about the place where Christianity, one of the places that it actually spreads to the world from, this is the spot. So we're here on the Mound, an amazing panorama view. You can see just Tel Aviv north of us, and let's see what we can see today.
Okay, awesome. So Ron, how old is Jaffa?
Jaffa basically being one of the oldest cities in the world. It's mentioned in the Old Testament. The name, we don't even know where the name comes from. Yaffo in Hebrew, maybe from Japheth, the son of Noah, maybe from Yofi, which means beauty, maybe from Yapo, which means up to here. Anyway, we're standing in the oldest part of Jaffa. This is the mound itself. You can see they kind of modernized the place, but some of these tiles date back to an old Egyptian era fortress. Now, when we say Egyptian, we're talking about old school biblical period. This is after the war journey of Thutmose III. We're talking 15th century BC.
Oh, wow. So Ron, we're in Jaffa. There's a whale sculpture. I know why it's here. Tell our viewers why it's here.
So, if you want to talk about why is there a whale here, this is in one of the coolest stories. So let's talk about Jonah. In Jonah chapter 1, starting in verse 1. Now the word of the Lord came unto Jonah the son of Amittai, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh, the great city, and cry against it, for their wickedness is come up before me. But Jonah rose up and flee unto Tarshish from the presence of the Lord, and went down to Jaffa, and he found a ship going to Tarshish. Basically, the story of Jonah and the whale, the story of Jonah trying to run from his mission, he makes his journey out of Jaffa. Again, Jaffa being that port city. So when Jonah tries to run away to Tarshish, because God is basically telling him, go to Nineveh, go to that wicked city. Think of all of the modern sins we can think about, from gambling to who knows what, in one place, and he says you should go and reprimand them. Jonah saying, I'm not doing that, but he's trying to run from God.
Right.
And he's doing this journey, he's making his journey by boat, leaving from Jaffa. Of course, a great storm comes in. Jonah cannot hide his identity being a Hebrew man.
Right.
And he eventually he agrees to take one for the team and be cast away from the ship before it gets overboard. Gets into the water, a big fish eats him. He's there for 3 days, spit out, and then he agrees to go and does exactly what God tells him. Wow. He eventually goes to Nineveh, and that's why we have the whale here in Jaffa. And again, we're going back Old Testament, right from here, the modern harbor sits on the ancient one. Walking down here, you can see this is the modern port, but where we're standing on this very pier, this was the gateway to the land. So whether if we're talking about Jaffa being the gateway to the country, until we're seeing King David trying to bring the gates of Nicanor. Some of them are sunken and maybe still here underwater somewhere. This was the port, all the way to the stories of the birth of the state of Israel. Even before the end of the Turkish period, we have been stories. Mark Twain visits the Holy Land through this port. Theodor Herzl, the man who envisioned the state of Israel, the modern state, enters Israel, enters the Holy Land through this port of Jaffa. And we can see today that basically from the ancient time until 1936, with the British Mandate of Palestine, Eretz Israel, this was the gateway, the first immigrants, the new Olim, this idea coming to life from the end of the Ottoman period through the British Mandate and the beginning of Israel. Jaffa played a key role, and you can see that Tel Aviv started as a small neighborhood project out of Jaffa, now Jaffa being a neighborhood of Tel Aviv.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the CUFI Weekly. We really hope that you enjoyed it. We had an amazing time here in Jaffa. Ron gave us some incredible information from the Bible and other really interesting history. And we kind of ended here at the port just as the modern state of Israel is starting to emerge. And we will be covering that and its development in the area in an episode coming very soon. So make sure that you remain tuned for that. But until next time, this is Kasim Hafiz from the Mediterranean port city of Jaffa in Israel, saying for Zion's sake, do not remain silent. Be sure to like and subscribe and share this with your friends. Thanks for checking out today's episode of CUFI Weekly. If you enjoyed this episode and want to stay up to date with the latest news from the Middle East along with topics involving US-Israel relations, please be sure to like and subscribe. And remember to click that notification button so that you are notified every time a new show is uploaded.